Hi, welcome back to our Gentle Footprint sewing classes. Today we're going to show you how to do a nice, simple, easy project. This has just got the basic skills you learned when you did seams, and it's a good first project to do. It's a dilly bag. This brochure was available to download. Here is our dilly bag. It's just a simple rectangular bag with a ribbon through the top there. You can pull it up. When my children were young, I used these to store their toys in. It was great. You'd have the cars in one, you'd have the jigsaws in another. And when we were actually organised, it meant they could only empty one at a time. But then you just store them all again. And they're great. But you can use them for a makeup bag, you can use them to take bits and pieces to a picnic. And they're just great. Great for on camps too. If you want to send the kids to camps and you put their knives and forks in there if you've got to send those. Or you can give them one to put their dirty clothes in to bring them home. Just two things you need to make the dilly bag. A rectangular piece of fabric. We're going to fold this fabric in half, and that's just a little bit larger when we account for the seams than what the final dilly bag will be. The actual size, well, that's up to you. Depends on what you want to put in it. And a piece of ribbon, just a bit longer than the width of the material. This is real simple to do. Fold your material over into half, right sides together. You can put a couple of pins in here. I'm just pinning it so it stays together. Next we'll just stitch down the long side 15 millimeters from the edge. When you come to the corner, move it up, say you're 15 millimeters from this side here, leave your needle in the fabric, lift up your presser foot, turn it, and then just stitch across the bottom. It is important to do your backwards and forwards. Those of you that are really particular will notice this doesn't actually join up properly, does it? It's fine, just trim it off. Now we're just going to zigzag over the seam, right over the edge like we showed you, all the way around. Now I'm going to show you one of the really important tricks with sewing. When you've sewn a seam like this, particularly where it's got a corner and you're going to turn it through, you can just turn it straight through, but there's something will always happen. It gets bunchy at the corner. It's nice, big and thick in there, and it will never give you a nice straight corner. When you're going to ever turn a corner through like this, always trim it off on the diagonal, just like that. That takes out all of that bunchiness. You can use your scissors, point of your scissors, just to gently push that corner out, but there you have nice sharp corners. That's a really important trick to learn. The last thing we need to do, create a casing to put your ribbon through. Turn your fabric over once, about 8 millimeters, just pin it down. Do that all the way around. Right, we've got it turned over once. Now we'll just take out that pin, turn it over again, and we're going to pin it close to that edge there. So we've just pinned it over there. There's one little tricky thing with when we sew this casing. We need to leave a gap where the ribbon goes in and out. So when we stitch it, and I'll start stitching opposite the side of the seam, which is the side of the bag, I'm going to start about there and I'm going to finish about there. So there's a gap of about 1.5 centimeters to feed your ribbon through. When we sew the casing, it is important that you sew close to this folded edge over this side. Not in the middle, not over here, nice and close to that folded edge. You might like to tack it first, and here we stitch it along. Backwards and forwards. See the row of stitching close to this folded edge. Leaving that gap that I talked about. Trim your threads. To thread the ribbon through the casing, just put a safety pin at the end of your ribbon. Feed it through that hole and use the safety pin to push it along. Come out the hole again and just simply tie a knot at the end of the ribbons. There's your dilly bag. Well done.